Hi everyone, Rudy at Claude Painting Studio back with another video. Today we're going to look at how to prepare metal miniatures for painting. So I've got some Warlord Games 28mm French infantry colonels and their horses, and some of the tools you might need to stick together metal miniatures. Always going to need to use Superglue for sticking them together. This is stuff from the pound shop. You get about 7 tubes for £1, which is pretty good value. It's actually surprisingly good stuff as well. I've got a pair of tweezers just for handling any small bits. A pair of clippers in case there's any pieces need cut away from sprues. Got a diamond needle file, which is going to be useful for taking away any mould lines or sprue gates that are left on the model. And we might need to drill some holes for putting in pins. So I've got my pin vise here, little hand drill, and a paperclip. Once I've taken the plastic cover off there, we can get the wire out and use it to pin components together. So we'll get this stuff cleared out of the way and we'll get the models out of the pack and see where we start. So 2 mounted officers in this pack. We've got one horse walking, another one rearing up. One of the officers is holding some orders or a map, and the other one is raising his sword to lead his men into battle, no doubt. Sort of typically of metal miniatures, there's a few things we're going to need to clean up. We can see we've got little worms, bits of metal coming off the cast. Some of them we'll just pick off, which is fine, but you might find that you need to clip them away or take the file to them. We've got a choice of heads for these models, either with a bicorn, shackle with plume, or bear head. So we'll choose one of them to attach. So starting with the horse. What I'm doing is I'm looking for any mould lines. We'd expect them to run sort of lengthways along the top of the model. See a little one just on the front of the chest here, so with my needle file I can take that down. But before I get that all cleaned off, we want to get rid of these excess bits of metal. You can see some of them are just going to ping away. But in some places I think we'll probably need to get our clippers out. And also there's a connecting piece between the tail and the leg that will need clipped off. Where the legs are attached, we can see these metal pieces attaching here. I'm going to take off this one on the right foreleg, but I'm tempted to leave the one on the left. It has some detail sculpted onto it. It could be painted brown and it can look like a bit of earth that's kicking up. Sometimes you find if you take off supports when you've only got 2 legs on the ground, over time you might find that your horse starts kneeling down as these bend under the weight of it. Get the clippers in again. Now where we've clipped them away, we're going to end up with little ridges of metal, so with my file I'll take them off. I quite like to use my finger to check if there's any sharp areas. Just find another bit of metal from the cast, the flash. Okay, the officer himself. So attaching this head could just be a case of using some super glue, but I think it's worthwhile showing how to place a pin in this video, which will strengthen the joint. Perhaps more appropriate if you're sticking an arm on the model, or if you're working with a larger scale model, then pinning joints and heads is a really good way to keep pieces together without just relying on the bond strength of the glue. So with my pin vise, I'm going to drill a hole a couple of millimeters deep in both the body and the head, and then we'll get a little piece of that paper clip, glue into one piece and then glue the head on the other. So my pin is inserted. It's a piece of that paper clip about 4 millimeters long, and blob of super glue. And get the head, which also has a hole in it. We'll hold that together. So we've got our officer and our horse all prepared. Remove the mould lines. Got rid of any excess bits of metal, tags and sprue gates. One final thing you could do when you're painting is keep rider and horse separate. For example, if you're thinking of using a coloured spray primer, you could spray the horse brown, get the majority of the horse flesh done in one, and a rider perhaps a lighter undercoat, a white, because you're going to have some white for the breeches, for the lapels and piping. It may speed things up to do that in a lighter colour. What you can do is take your pin vise and drill into the crotch there. Get an old pot of paint, a paper clip with a glue dot to secure it, put a little bit of super glue on the end of the paper clip, and you've got your own painting handle. Then when it's all finished, you could drill a hole in the top of the saddle, take your clippers, cut off a few millimeters of paper clip, and you've got a pin which you can then secure into the horse, and that will keep the rider on nice and tightly. Okay, well, I hope that's been a useful, if quick, guide to preparing metal models. A lot of the skills used for preparing plastic models are transferable. You would need to use some slightly different tools in order to get rid of mould lines. You're looking more at a file than a knife, for example. If anybody else got any other tips or comments on the video, please leave them below. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, it'd be great, really help it grow. More than 50% of people watching these videos are non-subscribers, so if you liked what you've seen, please jump on board. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye bye.